Welcome to the breakfast show on Faith FM with Skafy and Lindsay. This is the best place to start your day with positive and uplifting thoughts.
You're listening all across Australia on 87.6, 87.8 or 88 depending on where you are. Or you can listen to us through our Faith FM app wherever you are in the world.
And today, if you are listening live, is Tuesday, the 7th of April, 2026. I'm in the studio today with Lindsay. Have already listened to her voice. Good morning to you, Linz.
Good morning.
And we have producer Shelzy at the desk. Good morning, Shells.
Good morning.
All right, Shells is back with the drum tats. And, well, let's start with our moments of gratitude. What are you grateful for? There's so much things to be grateful for. We have been, we have holidays and Easter time. There's so many things. But I'll tell you what I am grateful for. I held a newborn baby yesterday.
Did you?
Yes,
Aww.
It was the cutest thing ever. It was my friend's Emma's baby.
Okay.
Baby Jane, and she was absolutely beautiful. And she kind of slept on my chest like this. I was just like having the cuddle of my life. It was just the most amazing thing. Made me think of my own kids when they were that tiny and light and young. So yeah, it was amazing. I'm so grateful for that.
You're getting baby fever? Do you need some more?
You know what? Yes, but then it passed.
Then it passed.
Then it passed. Yes, look, I love babies. And I told my wife, it makes you feel like having more babies.
But
right, just too difficult. The logistics of it, we're happy. We're happy with where we are.
Fair enough.
2 kids.
Okay.
What about you, Lindsay?
Well, look.
When was the last time you held a newborn baby?
Oh, well, my cousin came to visit last week and her baby's 2 months old now. So, yeah,
nice.
I've had a few baby cuddles in the last couple of months, which is
Yay.
nice.
Yes, so good.
Yeah, but I am grateful for the time of year that we've just stepped into, which is getting rid of daylight savings for the next 6 months.
Yeah, right. Are you grateful for that? Tell me more.
I'm a Queenslander. I don't believe in having daylight savings.
So you're a daylight savings atheist,
hater,
so to speak.
Not just an atheist, but a hater.
An agnostic, a hater.
So I'm grateful that it's gone
Yes.
for the next 6 months and everything is back to normal.
Yeah, that's fair
I don't
enough.
have to do mental gymnastics when I want to call my friends in Queensland or overseas.
Okay, fair enough. What about you, Chelsea? What are you grateful for?
Yes, I'm a daylight savings hater as well.
Woohoo!
Okay.
But I'm just...
But that's not what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for the fact that my oldest daughter has been launched into adulthood at 18 and we had a wonderful weekend celebrating her.
Oh, wow, amazing. I thought you were going to say she was launched into a moon journey into the space. Because that's what happened on April's Fool, like April 1st. But it's actually not an April's Fool joke. It is an actual thing. We're going to be talking. Yeah, we're going to be talking about it. I mean, everybody's talking about it. We didn't cover it last week, but we're going to be covering today everything about the Artemis 2 space mission. And did you know that some of the astronauts are Christians, like overtly Christians?
Oh, really?
And one of them, the pilot, gave a very beautiful message.
Nice.
Over the Easter holiday. We're going to be talking about that and see what we can learn from it. But before we get into any of that, so we have our study on Elijah, and the story of Elijah today is going to take us to a very interesting turn. We're going to be talking about depression.
Okay.
And how God cared for Elijah's depression.
Yeah.
So that's going to be
really important topic.
Yes. And you're going to be sharing with us a story about Forrest Frank, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting story, I think.
All right. I cannot wait.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
And it is now the time for a punchline. A punchy quiz question. Please, producer Shells, knock us out here.
I'm knocking you out with an easy one to start with so everybody has a chance.
Yeah, just a small jab.
All right. To whom did Abraham leave everything when he died? I think that's a pretty simple first quiz to start with. Your fingers were covering it, Lindsay, so I'm like, he left it to nobody? Yes, you've got it right.
Okay.
And Joseph is typing
I'm
slowly.
trying to, I'm opening up my file here, okay, so I can write something.
Oh, a bit slow in the drawer today.
Yes. You guys got it easy down pat. Okay, you guys can text us too out there, 0491 064 669. We would love to hear from you and join in with the quizzes. It's great fun doing it together. So to whom did Abraham leave everything when he died? A nice, quick, easy one to start with, 0491 064 669. Let's roll with the punches.
All right. Thank you very much, producer Shells. And Lindsay, okay, let's get up into our Bible here.
Ooh,
Can you open it up in 1 Kings chapter 19, please?
I'm already there, but sure.
Okay. So let's read, because we last time that we were talking about it, we were saying, like, how we're talking about depression. I'm talking about depression can really afflict anyone. And it's not a problem of lack of faith as necessarily as many people jumping to conclusion. Elijah had faith, but at the same time he was caught in this spiral where he forgot about God's care for him, and he just got into this downward spiral. And we're going to be looking at what his thoughts actually were, and then we can judge here if his thoughts were accurate or not, if he had a good reason or not good reason.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So let's read here from starting with the start, verse 2. What triggered his response?
Yep. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah, saying, "So let the gods do to me, and more also, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time." And when he saw that, he arose and ran for his life, and went to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a broom tree. And he prayed that he might die, and said, "It is enough. Now, Lord, take my life, for I am no better than my fathers."
Okay. Do you think that his response of fleeing away from Jezebel's threat, do you think that it was reasonable or not reasonable?
I think it's, not your average response, certainly.
Okay, so what do you think would be your average response? I think it's reasonable.
Okay.
I mean, this lady, she's threatening his life. He's like, what
the
he's going to
queen
do?
of the land,
Yeah.
who's basically got the king under her thumb in some senses. She's wanting to kill him. Look, it is reasonable for him to want to get away from that.
That's right. So
Yeah.
that part, I think, no problem.
Sure.
Jesus himself said, look, if you're going to a city and you're being persecuted, you know what? Just
Get out
take
of
shake the dust out of your sandals and move on to the next one. There's a fine line between courage and faith and obedience. Sometimes, Jesus never said, if you're being persecuted and reviled and so on, just stay there and be a man. Or no, he said, look, just move on to the next city.
Be wise.
Just be wise. It's
Self-preservation is important.
Yeah, because I think it's very easy for us to confound bravery with faith and kind of a little bit of stubbornness as well. And it says, no, I'm going to fight. Not every battle needs to be fought.
Don't have to go down with the ship.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes that might be the appropriate answer, but a lot of times, hey, you know what? Just move on. Jesus did that all the time, by the way. A lot of times Jesus could have totally confronted the Pharisees, say, you know what? I've just not scandalized them. Let's just, do something else here. For example, when Jesus, paid the tax temple, he didn't need to say, you know what? Why were we going to offend them for free like this? No.
Yeah.
No need.
Yeah.
So I think that Elijah fleeing away, it was a reasonable response, from there. And then he went a day's journey to the wilderness, sat under a juniper tree. He requested himself that he might die. And then let's analyze this first thought of his. He says, look, it is enough. Now, O Lord, take my life. I am no better than my fathers. What do you think about that one? Do you think that this is an accurate statement or a not very accurate statement?
I wonder what he means by this. I wonder
what are the possibilities here? There's a few possibilities.
Okay, so some of the possibilities jumping to my mind is, I think, two things. One of them being that he sees himself as just as sinful as his predecessors, or
by fathers, do you think he meant other prophets of old, or do you think just other Israelites
Like
in general?
his family lineage is what I'm thinking.
Or his personal family lineage?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
And also maybe he's no better than his, personal family lineage in that they're all dead, probably. So why not him too? Like those are the two things
Yeah,
dropping to mind. So I'm no better than my fathers might be like, I am no more morally good. Like why, like maybe he just sees himself as a sinful person in that moment, or maybe he just sees himself as completely like exhausted of life, like just get it over and done with.
Yeah, for sure. This is he's definitely he's asking to die. This is a classical symptom of a depression, particularly severe depression. And there's a difference between wanting to die and or wanting to take your own life, by the way. I didn't know this until one of my close family members was struggling with depression. And she said, look, I feel like I don't want to live anymore. I don't feel, and the whole family got very alarmed. And then she said, look, it's different. I don't feel that I should be taking my life. I don't have those kinds of feelings, but I feel that I just want to go. So there was a difference between these two things.
Yeah.
And Job had that as well. Many times he begged for God, just take my life.
Yeah, this is too hard.
Just too hard.
Yeah.
And when we look at Job's life, we can see, we can see where he's coming
That's
from.
fair.
He
Yeah.
lost all of his family, his wife, his health. There's nothing left.
Yeah.
And he's thinking that God was, having a big issue at him unjustly. And now we have Elijah saying the same thing. God, just let me die. Just I'm done. The way that I read here is just a little bit different. I think that I'm no different than my fathers, as you mentioned. It's a possible reading, but I see other possible alternatives here in this text as well. One of them being Elijah. I believe he thought that he failed in his mission to restore the worship of Yahweh in the land of Israel. Because the news was brought to Jezebel, and now Jezebel was still ruling. She's still persecuting prophets. So I think that Elijah was thinking, man, what have I done differently here?
Yeah, what have I managed to accomplish?
It started with the prophets of the Lord being persecuted, and it ended with the prophet of the Lord still being persecuted.
That's okay.
So he's saying, God, you know what? I'm no better than my fathers, meaning my fathers, the prophets, the others, the prophets that came before me, that, they failed, like Israel, they failed in the mission of leading Israel away from their idolatry and into worship with God. So he was I think he was judging his life by this outcome. But I don't think that God was judging him by this outcome at all. And I don't even think that God was judging the prophet in general by this outcome. Because this is the thing, we tend to really focus on the end result of things. I think that God focuses on the process. Okay. So God was giving them a chance. If Israel was going to repent and come back to the Lord or not, it was up to them. Jonah, for example, was one of them. Do you remember when God called Jonah, say, hey, Jonah, can you go and tell the Ninevites that they're going to be destroyed? Jonah said, no, I don't want this end result. But God's saying, hey, it's the process. I have to give them a chance. And God gave the chance, and guess what? They repented. So I think that the first thing here is Elijah is, and maybe we can learn something here about depression. If you're depressed by something, if you're feeling that you're a failure in some area of your life, do you think that this failure, God is also judging that as a failure? Or do you think this failure is living in your own, based on your own expectations of things? Because Elijah is feeling like a failure right now.
Yeah.
Yet he was not a failure. Actually, I think he sparked and he ignited probably one of the most meaningful revival moments in the story of Israel.
Yeah.
Things, but things take time. And not only things take time, even with the best of our intentions, like people also have their free will. People will not always respond in harmony with what is expected from them to respond. People will not necessarily respond in harmony with what their faith should dictate that they will respond. So I think that if Elijah should have if he would have changed his success metric from, I'm going to get rid of the evil in Israel and get rid of, idolatry, and instead of saying, hey, you know what, my job was to plant a seed of reformation, I think he would actually be feeling very successful.
Yeah, I definitely think it's very easy to get caught up in your own perception of what success should look like.
Yeah.
Whereas God's definition of success often is wrapped up in, are you being faithful with what I've called you to do?
Yeah.
Not with an outcome, not with like a outward result, like just a metric in front of you, but are you being faithful? Are you doing what I've called you to?
Yeah. I'll tell you one example here, all right? I met this this lady. You know, she's a young lady, and she presented herself extremely well. I mean, she was absolutely gorgeous. But because of, and of course, growing up, you know, everybody would comment on her looks, like, wow, you know, growing up, you know, you're so beautiful, this, and that. And at some point of her life, I think she was 19, 20, she fell into this big depression. And part of the depression was, if she, think of one of the most gorgeous persons you have ever known, like from a physical perspective.
Sure.
If she had a pimple in her, you know, coming up somewhere in her cheek, whatever, she didn't have any, but there's like one small little pimple, that was enough for her not to want to leave the house and face the public.
Right.
Because she had such high expectations of perfection, of, you know, in terms of her physical appearance, that if there's the slightest element of imperfection, she thought that, you know what, it's not worth it for me to go there. What are people going to think of me? And so on. Again, I think this is, I'm
like
saying
all
this.
her value was wrapped up in her outward appearance, which is not something she really earned or did or achieved herself.
Yeah.
It was just something she was blessed
That's right.
with.
Her
which is
identity was
now-
tied up with her looks.
And so if there's any imperfection in that thing that she cannot really control, then it lowers her value and she can't go outside. and
That's
help
right. And like everybody looking from the outside saying, what? Like, you know, like your worst pimple is probably more pretty than by my best days here, you know, and I'm not having an issue. But it's, I think that part of the problem with depression is, okay, what are the expectations that we have that have not been met? And the question that we should ask is, okay, are these expectations that I'm having about my success, are they actually God's expectations as well? Or are these a standard that I'm imposing on myself? The Apostle Paul has a passage that we often don't talk enough about it, but the Apostle Paul says, I don't judge myself.
Okay.
And it's kind of the way that I interpret that is saying, hey, you know what, take it a bit easy on yourself. Not to use that as an excuse for evil, but give you some slack. You're a human being. We often are so good. We can often give slack to other people. When other people fail us, they did something and so on. You know, we say, we brush it off. Say, it can be a bit annoying. You know, it's okay. It happens. But then when we do something, sometimes we can expect so much of ourselves, and we don't give ourselves some slack. We forget that we are also human beings, liable to the same passions as everybody else, including failure or just not doing the right thing and so on. And say, look, you know what? There gotta be a balance there. Which in one hand, you're not settling up for mediocrity. You're not settling for less and just like excusing poor choices. But at the same time, you're not being so harsh on yourself to the point that you feel like giving up altogether if everything's not coming up exactly according to your plan, which was the case of Elijah.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, was fundamental to Elijah's depression. There was some unrealistic expectations about what he should have accomplished. Because I think that he accomplished exactly what God wanted him to accomplish. And yet Elijah thought that he should have accomplished even more. Instead, I wish that Elijah could say, you know what, Lord, maybe we have not yet reformed the heart of Jezebel. Maybe there are still a wicked king in Israel. But so many people now are realizing that you are the God of gods. You are more powerful than Baal. You're more powerful than Satan. And people are starting to realize that and come back to restore the broken altars, come back to the worship of you. And if he focused on that, I think he would have a better chance of tackling this darkness of the soul moment that he was going through. We're going to continue looking into that because I also want to share how is God going to respond? Because we've been, dialoguing here and philosophizing here and trying to understand what we can learn. It's all good and fine. But God is not going to have that same kind of conversation with Elijah. And this is the thing. Sometimes you're not arguing someone out of depression. It's no worse. There is no point. People, to use that example of that beautiful girl that I mentioned to you, people were saying to her, look, you're still very beautiful, even with your pimple.
Yeah.
Go out and live. You have everything that anybody could wish for. You have money, you have education, you have a good family, you have looks, you have health, you have God in your life. Like there's no reason for you to be depressed. And yet, guess what? She was not paying attention to any of that because it's the frontal lobe was not working.
Yeah,
it was not just
she wasn't receptive to that.
It was just not a decision that she was making. But we're going to be talking about how then God would relate to that.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
Right, now I think it's time for a quiz answer and a new quiz question. Please produce the Shelzy.
Alrighty, so our answer was very simple. It was Isaac. Everything was left to the promised firstborn son, Isaac.
Yeah.
The son of promise, not the actual firstborn, which would have been
Ishmael.
Yeah, thanks. I was like,
Yeah.
where is his name?
Yes.
Well, actually, a few fun facts that probably most people don't know unless you've really had a close look at the story is that Abraham had a concubine named Hagar and they had Ishmael from that, and then Isaac came along, the true son of promise, and then later on when Sarah passed away, Abraham took another concubine, and I think her name was Keturah, I think that's right. And they had a bunch more sons, I think at least probably 10 or so, and just a few extra. But none of these were the one son of promise. Yeah. And so Abraham gave large gifts to each of these sons and then sent them off into Arabia. And that's, where some of the Arabic tribes come from. But they didn't receive the inheritance. They just received gifts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
All right. So we shall go. We're doing quiz number 2. Yes, we are. All right. Our second question for the day. Paul said that men who speak lies in hypocrisy have their consciences seared with what? All right, so listen up again. It's from Timothy, 1 Timothy. Paul said that men who speak lies in hypocrisy have their consciences seared with what? Lindy's looking perplexed. Yes, Skafy's got it. Who did I not say? Lindsay, do you know it?
No.
Okay. All right.
What do you normally know? Will I give a hint? No, I'll stop. Skafy's loving it right now.
I am. Yes. Lindsay's looking bewildered, saying, I have no idea.
Okay, and our text line is 0491064669. Just once more to understand. So Paul said in 1 Timothy that men who speak lies in hypocrisy have their consciences seared with what? Seared with something.
0491064669. Please help Lindsay out here. She's needing some help. She's written something here. Let me see, Lindsay, what you have written.
No, I'm not going to share it. It's not right.
All right. Okay, let's keep moving here because I'm really interested to see what you think about this one.
Sure.
Okay. So first thing, we're talking about expectations. Second thing, can you read verse 5, please?
Verse 5 says, Then as he lay and slept under a broom tree, suddenly an angel touched him and said to him, Arise and eat. Then he looked, and there by his head was a cake baked on coals and a jar of water. So he ate and drank and lay down again. And the angel of the Lord came back the second time and touched him and said, Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for you. So he arose and ate and drank, and he went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights as far as Horeb, the mountain of God.
Okay, let's pause here. What do you think can we learn here? What did God do you think, in his depression treatment plan for Elijah?
Look, sometimes God knows that all you need is a nap and a snack, okay?
Yeah, definitely. Elijah's not being judged for that. So Elijah was sleeping, and again, this is another classic symptom of depression, like lack of energy,
Yeah,
and
lethargy.
feeling like lethargy, and just like feeling like sleeping or not, getting out of your bed. But I'll tell you one thing that really stands out to me here. The first thing is that the angel. What is the first thing that the angel did?
He came. Hold on, let me have a look at this again.
Yeah, have a look again.
He says the angel touched him and said to him, "Arise and eat."
Yeah.
So sometimes you just need a bit of a hug, a bit of physical touch.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. I think that physical touch, it's healing.
Yeah. Like most times when you see an angel in the Bible, they're speaking, they're not touching.
No, they're not touching.
This is really unique, actually.
Very unique. And I think that I think that in God's plan for depression, there is an element of just human touch there.
Yeah.
That hug, so look, if you have someone in your life that it would be appropriate to, no, I don't. I'm already thinking of people saying here, "Hey, I'm depressed, so therefore I need everybody to give me a hug here because I read in the Bible it's good for you." So no, don't go away hugging people you don't know or that don't want to be hugging. No, but if you do have someone in your life, in your family, like maybe a friend, maybe a relative, and someone that is going through depression, hey, you know what? Give them a hug.
Yeah,
give them a hug as it is appropriate. Some physical touch will. I think it's part of it.
Yeah, or even to lay your hand on somebody's shoulder or arm, like if they're not like a close person in your life, it's typically appropriate to touch someone between like the shoulder and the elbow. That's like the most appropriate place you can touch someone if you're not close to them, if they're okay with that. So even that amount of physical touch can be comforting.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's that, and then there's the food, and I like again simple food. Like, there's some bread, baked on I think
this
sometimes...
This is a cake.
It says a bread cake.
Well, mine says cake. The New King James says cake. I know it's probably not like a sweet
It is.
birthday cake or
the
anything,
word
but...
it's ugat.
Ugat?
Yeah, ugat.
What is ugat?
It's a round, flat loaf.
Oh, okay.
It's a kind of like a pita bread.
Why couldn't it just be angel cake?
Yeah, I mean, you can interpret that as you want.
Being silly, but
yeah. But I think that he's just drinking water, eating some nourishment, healthy foods.
Yeah.
And I think this is another pillar of living depression. Is hey, because you can be in depression, but if you're eating poorly, if you're eating junk food all day, if you're eating lots of sugar, lots of fatty, greasy foods, you're not giving your body the best go, a fair go.
No.
So, physical touch, expectations, good nutrition, proper nutrition, and there are some, some mental health specialists they say to try to eat as much food as possible that have foods that are precursors of dopamine. So, for example, tryptophan.
Okay.
Tryptophan is a precursor. It's a substance that your body will use so that it can create happiness hormones, dopamine.
And so, what kind of foods have that?
So I'll tell you who's as far as I know, who is the world champion of tryptophan. I like to call it, happiness in little, golden happiness.
Golden happiness.
Yeah, chickpeas.
Oh, I love chickpeas.
So if you're eating hummus,
hummus
for
is
example,
a happy food.
It's happy food.
Oh, what about bananas?
I don't know. Look, surely every kind of food will have a certain amount of.
I always
but
felt
foods
like
that are rich in tryptophan.
when I've felt depressed or really low in the past, when I've eaten bananas, they're my happy food. So
okay, yeah, bananas.
I don't know
definitely.
what's in it. Have you looked it up?
Yeah, I'm looking it up here. See what are the best foods here with tryptophan.
Let me look.
Okay. So quinoa.
Okay.
Quinoa.
Had that for breakfast.
Yeah. Let's see what else here. Yes, there's a quinoa, cereals, in general, bread. Oh, there you go. Bread is there.
Hey, look. All right. So bananas contain tryptophan, an essential amino acid that the body converts into serotonin
Bananas
and
are
melatonin.
good. Potatoes, white potatoes, beans of all kinds, pretty much. Snap beans, green beans, cooked, boiled, drained. Apples. Semi-sweet chocolate
Yeah, like a dark chocolate.
Yeah,
or-
like dark chocolate.
dark chocolate is so good. It's definitely a health food in my books.
Yeah, but also nuts and seeds like cashews, pistachios, peanuts, almonds, chia seeds, flax seeds. So a whole bunch of things that are very rich in tryptophan.
Man, I wonder if this angel cake was like a raisin toast with all the different fruits and nuts in it, or if it was just like straight up bread.
Yeah.
Oh well. But look, I think
Simple.
heavenly bread is going to be better than earthly bread.
That's right.
No matter what
Yeah.
it is, like manna from heaven. Like, didn't you say that there was manna from heaven? Was I talking to you about this recently? Where this has happened in some parts of Africa, really remote parts of Africa.
Yeah, I think it was Angola.
Yeah, and did somebody take some pieces and like study
Yeah.
the nutritional
Yeah,
value of
there's
it?
an article. There's a scientific article published on
Yeah.
that by a very reputable scientist,
Yeah.
a chemist from Brazil. His name is Dr. What's his name? He's just here. I'll remember
Sure.
in a second. So he wrote an article and he was analyzing it and he says, "Oh wow, that substance, that we are calling it manna here. It's fantastically nutritious for almost like perfect for human needs."
There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, look, if Elijah is being offered this angel bread, it's probably something similar to
Yeah.
manna.
Yeah, it
it's
might
probably
be.
very nourishing. And it says that he ate 2 bites of this stuff. He ate and he drank some water. He had another nap. He woke up, ate some more food, and then spent the next 40 days going in the strength of those 2 little meals that he's eaten. Like, that's some very solid angel food there.
Yeah, it is solid, but you know what? I think there's another way of looking into
Sure.
this. Yes, we can go that route.
Yeah.
Supernatural bread with supernatural nutrients,
Yeah.
supernatural calories, and and giving him like this, supernatural extra strength. Yeah, I think that's a reading. Or we can actually read it in a different way.
Okay.
So look, this is actually a normal bread. But he's going on the strength of that food, not on the calories themselves. Because imagine how much calories would you actually need in a food to go for like 40 days? Like, what would that even do to your body? If you're taking like, in one meal, 50,000 calories or something like that. How is his body was even going to respond? But when you look at it, for example, Moses was in the presence of God for 40 days and 40 nights without food
Yeah.
and water, the Bible says. Jesus also went 40 days in the
Yeah.
wilderness. And we don't have any indication that Mary, his mother cooked any particularly
No.
nutritious, food for him.
No.
So I think it is possible that if the bread was just any regular bread, but you know what? The strength of the food, like knowing that God cared for him, knowing that God would send an angel to look after him, to serve him water and to serve him bread, maybe on the strength of that particular food served in that way, because the food that we're talking here is not only just now the physical food, we're talking about the spiritual food. On that strength, on that knowledge that, hey, God is actually looking after me. Elijah went on 40 days in
Yeah.
journey into the wilderness.
Yeah. I mean, having an angel give you a hug or tapping
Yeah.
you on the shoulder and then providing you 2 cooked meals, that's pretty encouraging.
It is very encouraging. And don't you have experiences that you have lived with God that give you spiritual
keep you
food to
going.
keep you going? So
Yeah.
when you're going through like a period of wilderness, of desert,
Yeah.
when you're feeling like a loser, you're feeling that you're failing, don't you have experiences that you can look back to and say, you know what?
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
the strength of those memories, I'm going to go forward.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, me too. I look back in my own life and I see how God has led my own life. And sometimes if I'm feeling like, wow, I'm failing here big time, I have had those moments. And when I came to sit down with God, I'm going to share a bit of a funny story. There's one day, many years ago, I was feeling like a complete and utter failure for whatever reason. And I was just like, I was ready to give up everything. It was just kind of like Elijah said, God, just take me out of this. Just take me out of this country. Just, take me back. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm no better than my fathers. I was having like my Elijah moment.
Sure.
And I was praying to God and I said, God, what do I do? You know what? I felt this impression in my brain saying, Joseph, I want you to go and buy for yourself a a piece of a chocolate ice cream.
Okay.
So I said, "Oh God, are you inviting me for chalky ice cream?" And I said, "Okay, great." So this is the first and only time that I actually felt impressed. That I attribute that to God. Say, God is paying me an ice cream here. So I went there, I bought an ice cream, and then I was talking to God about it. And then as I was there, I was just feeling, I actually felt cared for by God.
Aww.
I felt like God is saying, you know what, just like felt like I was a child.
Aww.
And God said, hey, come here with me. Let's just do something nice here. And on the strength of that ice cream, so to speak, not of the ice cream itself, but on the strength of like hearing God's voice and say, hey, God asking me, hey, Joseph, why are you upset? And just having that conversation with him. Mm-hmm. After a few moments of conversing with God about what I was feeling, what was going on, I felt strengthened back again. And I thought, you know what, like I'm going to be trusting God. I'm going to keep going forward.
Yeah.
So I think that was a little bit of what Elijah experienced,
Yeah. I have a similar experience. It doesn't involve food, unfortunately. Okay. But during lockdown, I was living in Melbourne, and after a couple of months, like it's already grey and cold and miserable there enough to start with without being stuck indoors forever and ever. And so after a couple of months of being stuck inside, I was just like in a really bad headspace. I was suffering from depression really bad while I was there. And I remember crying out to God one day saying, God, please take care of me. And God responded, and I wrote it in my journal immediately, go for a walk. And I was like, oh man, I don't want to go for a walk. Like, I want to go outside. Like, I was so stuck in my room in this house all the time that I just never wanted to leave. But God insisted that I go outside for a walk. So I went outside for a walk, and I was walking through spider webs and all sorts of things, and I was really grumpy about it. But the sun was shining, and moving my legs actually caused some serotonin to boost in my brain. And like, I was a little less like mentally worse off than I was before.
Yes.
And so God just told me, go for a walk. And that's like, when I asked him, take care of me, look after me, he said, do that.
And this is the other element here of the God's plan for managing and healing depression. Exercise.
Yes.
He wanted Elijah to go on a 40 days exercise, walking a lot. That was going to be able to help him.
Exercise and sunshine.
So exercise, sunshine, being in the outdoors, fresh air, good healthy foods, physical touch. And one thing here, the last thing that I want to point out here, a purpose. Because the angel says, you go to that place, Horeb, you have a purpose. And I have seen people that were struggling with depression, and a lot of times they said, you know what, Joseph, what kept me going through was that I knew that I had a mission. I knew that I had people to look after. Some people, said like, my dog helped me because I needed to stay up.
Something to live for.
Yeah, something. Sometimes people cling to like small things, like so I needed to feed my dog, or my cat.
Yeah.
So all of these things. If you don't look at your life. If you're depressed, look at your life. See which one of these elements are missing. Because if any one of these elements are missing, you're not giving your body a fair go in healing itself. Yeah. Are you nourishing yourself properly? Do you have an adequate and enough amounts of physical touch or social connections? 3, are you doing exercise and spending times, out in the great outdoors, seeing some blue and green? Blue and green should often be seen,
Amen.
as it says. And do you have a purpose? Do you have something that if you don't do it, nobody else would? Something that perhaps, I believe, if you're a believer, well, do you believe that God has a purpose for you? That God has people that He wants you to witness to. He wants you to share about your goodness with them. When you put all of these things together, we're starting to build up a comprehensive plan. And by the way, I'm not making this up. All the research on depression and factors that help in depression, I'm mentioning one by one. But I just find it fascinating how all of these elements were present in the story of Elijah when he was depressed. It's not, I would not say as if God knew, because of course God knew. That's why he's the creator of the body. He's the creator of the mind. He knows what's best for us. He knows how to care for us. And we see that in the story of Elijah. Elijah has not yet coming out of depression, because there's also an element of a process. There's an element of time there.
Yeah.
But if you put your body in the best possible environment, you're doing yourself a favor in allowing your mind to slowly heal itself and get back to normal. We will continue that story tomorrow. We'll see what God is going to say to Elijah after that. But I think we have, just in that tiny little story, we've seen so many principles here that are proven now by science, but has been revealed to humanity for thousands of years on God's natural treatment plan for depression.
Yeah.
You know, so try out, see if there's any one of these elements missing. Ask God, can you please help me to
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
Now, Skafy, we've got something to give away.
We have something to give away. This is a book, particularly if you've been in the desert, if you've been feeling depressed, and you're feeling that, look, you know what can I do to get out of this? What can I do so I can get better to my family, to my community, to my own self, so I can regain the joy of life? Well, there's many things you can do, but one of these things is to have a physically active body, because you're not helping yourself by being sedentary. But sometimes people think, it's so difficult to get started. I used to move when, back in the days when I was younger, but now I haven't exercised in such a while. Where do I even start? Well, we're going to take the guesswork out for you. We're going to give you the book Live More Active by Dr. Darren Morton. Activate your life for good. It is more than just a collection of information, Lindsay. It is also the inspiration to activate your life through a 21-day program that shows you what to do and why, and how to overcome the challenges that often drain our motivation. So this book, Live More Active, can help you create a better activity habits so that you can live more and you can give your body, your mind, the best chance to get better, particularly if you are at the moment going through a season of depression. How can you get that book? Well, it's going to be a free gift from us here. How about that? #active. Text us here, #active to 0491064669. I'll say that number one more time, 0491064669.
Awesome.
Let's get into the answer to the quiz question, shall we?
Let's.
All right, producer Shells, please.
I have something for you.
Oh,
That's for getting it right.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right.
but not for me. What do I get?
Oh, hang on. There is one for you. Right?
Nice.
Okay, so our answer for our second question, which it was a hot iron. So, it's funny with the Bible, isn't it? So often we tend to go to those theological words that but sometimes it's just practical.
Yeah.
Sure.
By means of the hypocrisy of liars seared in their own conscience, as with a branding iron or a hot iron. Mm-hmm. And why do you think that what's the connection there between branding iron and conscience? Because when you have like a hot iron branded in your skin, what happens to your skin?
Like
It becomes insensitive,
It's marked
cauterized.
forever.
It's marked and it's insensitive. So people, they can be lying so much that their conscience just becomes insensitive to the truth.
Yes.
Changed. It's forever changed because of it too.
And it's changed.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, that insensitivity really hits home, because I think the more that somebody engages in sin, like I know for me, the more that I have engaged in things that I know I shouldn't be doing, the harder it is for it to feel like it's something bad to be doing over time.
Yeah.
Right? Like you get so desensitized, like you know that God has told you that's not the right thing, but the more that you do it, the more it's strengthened as a habit in your mental pathways, the more difficult it will be to overcome that over time.
I think you said it a bit better than Solomon could ever say.
Wow.
Thanks for being a part of the Faith FM family. Join our community on Facebook or get in touch at 1-800-FAITH-FM.